of exactly what's happening to this cube to make it appear the way it is. So I can click on this button here, input and output connections, and it will actually graph that object. So in the middle here we have the polycube shape, which we talked about earlier. It's not actually showing the transform in this view. And you can see that inputting into that shape is the freeform deformation object. And the reason why it's inputting is because the final shape of the cube at the moment is actually defined by this freeform deformation. Now, the original shape of the cube is defined here in polycube, and that defines a shape. That then goes into a tweak node, and that tweak node actually defines some of the changes that have gone on here. And then we've got two other inputs that go into this FFD lattice. We've got the FFD base shape, and as you can see, as I click on that, I'll just put it in wireframe mode, that's actually defining the original volume. And then we have the lattice shape. So you can see that the two key things here are the base shape and the lattice shape. They actually define our lattice deformation setup. Now, the tweak node is pivotal because what it actually does is it defines where our original cube is placed within the base shape. And without this tweak node, if we, for instance, were to rewire things and have this cube take part in this lattice, what it would do is it would inherit this tweak node here, and it would actually take on exactly the same deformed shape as this cube here. And that's not what we want. We want it to be placed in the center of the base shape, and we want it to take on this deformation here. Now, I've experimented with Maya, and I've tried to get it to actually create this tweak node out of thin air, but you can't actually do that. You may be able to do it with scripting, but you can't do it with the user interface. And this demonstration is just using the core user interface. So what I found is to actually get that tweak node, you actually have to apply a new lattice to the middle cube, and that will actually give us our tweak node that we need. So I'll go in here, I'll select the cube, I'll apply a lattice to it, and that's given us a new lattice. And if I graph that again, so I'll just click on the graph. Actually, we've got the lattice selected. I need to select the cube. And now if I graph that, you can see we've got a very similar setup as to actually what we saw earlier. In this case, we've got a second FFD here. We can see we've got a new tweak node, which is key to what we want to do. And we've got these new FFD base shapes and a new lattice. Now, these are actually surplus to our requirements. We don't need these in the long run, because what we actually want to do is we want to use this base shape from these objects here, and we want to use this deformation lattice. So we're going to actually get rid of these two nodes by wiring in new ones. So to get all the nodes that we need in the interface here, I'm just going to minimize these elements a bit, because we actually need as much sort of hypergraph space as we can grab here. Otherwise it's going to get very, very crowded. There we go. Now what I need to do is just select this cube, select the second cube here, and click on graph. And now we've got a graph of both of the objects and their associated nodes and so on. So I'm just going to move these nodes over here a little bit. These are our objects that we want to end up being deformed. And you can see we've got these nodes here, and we've got these nodes here. Now, these are the base shape and FFD lattice that we want to use. And we want to keep these tweak nodes because they're obviously fed into this FFD, and they give us our final shape. You can see that this tweak node here is fed into this the shape node here, and you can see it's also fed into this FFD2 here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these base shapes here and this lattice shape, and we're going to plug them into this FFD2 here, and that will then give us a shared lattice that will actually deform this object in the middle just like the ones around it. So let me just put this back in shaded mode, so when we do get this working we can actually see what's going on. And I'll just scroll this view over here so we just can concentrate on the nodes that we're going to work on. Now, there's one more user interface element that I need here, and this is actually very similar to the wire dialog in Max, and it's called the connection editor. Now, it's a general editor. I can go down here to connection editor, and this brings it up. And what this allows us to do is it allows us to take data channels from one object and basically wire them up to data channels in another object. So I'll just expand this out here a bit to fill the area that we need. There we are. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to wire this base shape here into this FFD here. So I'm going to select this object. I'm going to click on reload left here, and that will load up all the channels from this object into here. And these are basically like parameters in 3ds Max. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the target. I'm going to say reload right. Now what we need to do now is find out what parameter needs to be plugged into what parameter here to get the same result as we've got down here. So if we hover over this wire, you can see that we've got base shape world matrix, and that plugs into FFD1 base lattice matrix. Now I know that you can't actually see it here because there's a bit of a bug in the interface, but world matrix here is actually pointing to world matrix bracket 0. And I can go up here and you can see we've got world matrix here, and if I expand this you can see we've got world matrix 0. So if I click on that, that becomes the first part of our wire that we're going to create. Now we need to plug it into FFD1 base lattice matrix. So over here we need to find a corresponding area which has got a base lattice matrix. Now if we look in this list here, you can see that we can't actually see the base lattice matrix, and that's because it's actually a hidden parameter. I don't know why Maya does this, because it actually causes quite a lot of problems when you want to wire things together, but there actually are a number of parameters which are hidden. Don't know why, but there we go. So we can go up to write display. This corresponds to this window here, and we can activate show hidden. Now we can see we have an entry called base lattice. If we open that up, you can see we've got base lattice points and base lattice matrix. So obviously we want to plug this into base lattice matrix, so we can just click on that. And now in the view you can see that the wire goes from here to here. And there we go. That's pretty cool. Now because of that, we don't need this particular node here anymore. We can just move that out of the way. So the next thing we need to do is we need to replace this node here with this node here. And in this case we've got two wires, and you can see they're plugging into here. So let's have a look at the first wire, what that actually goes to. You can see it goes from the world matrix 0 again. I know it's actually 0 even though you can't see it. It's because it's actually showing against a black background. And it's plugging into deformed lattice matrix as well. So we're looking for world matrix 0 on the left hand side, which we can see here. And on the right hand side we're looking for deformed lattice matrix. So we can close down this one here, and we can see above it we've got deformed lattice, and we've got two options under there. We've got deformed lattice points or deformed lattice matrix. So it's the bottom of the two that we actually want to pick. So I'll click on that, and now you can see our box has popped back to its original size. So now I think we actually have the base matrix in place. All we need to have now is the actual lattice shape in action, and then we'll have our object deformed to the actual lattice shape. So let's do that now. We can select this wire, well, we can hover over it, and we can see that we've got lattice out. That's what we're actually looking for here on the left hand side. And on the right hand side we're looking for deformed lattice points. Well, we can see deformed lattice points here, but again if we look on the left hand side we're missing this input, and it's called lattice out, but you can search through all these options here, you're not going to find it, and that's because again it's a hidden option. So we'll go to left display, show hidden, and actually in this case it's not because it's actually hidden. We've actually got show hidden active now. It's actually because we've got the wrong node selected. So I'll go over to the FFD lattice shape here. We need that selected, so I'll just click on there, and I'll do a reload left. And now if I scroll down you can see we've got lattice input here, which as you can see we need lattice output. So you can see there's a lattice output, and we're going to plug that into deformed lattice points. So deformed lattice points over here. And as you can see, once that's wired up, we